That was an utter lie. Saw this TikTok that said the straw wrapper's already open. Well, you know what? I guess I didn't really pay enough attention. I don't know. But what's a good Daisy video without a Capri Sun? I know what you're thinking. Who the f is sitting in front of me right now on this screen? I should have put these in the fridge. Not as satisfying when they're not cold. Hi. I look a little ridiculous. I will admit that. But that is a story for another day. What is up, guys? It has literally been... How long has it been? Let's check. Wow, it has been 2 whole months since I have uploaded a video. I've taken a huge leave of absence, as I'm sure you guys know. My Instagram DMs have been filled with, are you quitting YouTube? Are you coming back? I miss you. When are you uploading? Girl, I'm bored in this quarantine and I need some content. Well, look, let me explain. So obviously, as you all know, me and Michael just had our second baby, and adjusting to 2 kids has been crazy. They are crazy and they drive us crazy to say the least. So yeah, obviously we've been adjusting to being parents of 2 kids, and it has been a lot. 2 kids is a lot, but you know what? We're managing. To add on to just having a new baby, we both got new jobs. So Michael was originally working at like this really fancy restaurant, and obviously due to Corona, restaurants were shutting down. So he ended up losing his job. But thank the good Lord above, he ended up getting an even better job, and he makes way more money, and he only works like a couple days out of the week, and he makes a few thousand a month, and it's the best job in the world right now for him to have. I can't complain about it. I also got a job, I'm pretty sure like 2 months after having Luna, which is our new baby. And I know that sounds a little bit really soon after having a baby, especially the job that I have. I do a lot of heavy lifting. We both pretty much kind of have the same job in a way, but like different companies. We needed to take a break from YouTube because in order to really focus on these things, you know, YouTube couldn't be the main focus. The main focus had to be jobs and kids. And so for the past 2 months that I have been absent from YouTube, that is what we've been doing. I'm sure if you do follow us on Instagram, which if you don't, it will be linked down below, you've seen the collective things that I've been getting. We are planning on moving. We're moving out of my mom's house. So exciting. So yes, we're really looking forward to that. I know, I don't think I've introduced Luna on YouTube other than from my birth vlog video, but that is coming. I know that she's a lot older than the newborn baby. She is now 4 months old. Wow, 4 months, that blew by, honestly. But yeah, you guys, I'm hoping maybe I think I'll do that in my next video, is introducing you guys to her. Because I know that a lot of you guys want to like see her. I mean, I know most of you have seen her from my Instagram, but you guys haven't got like a feel of her and her little personality on YouTube. So I'm most definitely going to be making a video of that. Also, I know that you guys miss my crazy baby, Sariah, and she has only gotten crazier since the last time you saw her. So you guys will definitely see an updated video on the majority of everything that's going on, but that is not the point of this video. I just felt like I couldn't just come back without like a little bit of an explanation. So with all that being said, I will make a more detailed video on everything that has been going on and is going on, will be going on. But for now, let me get into the point of this video. So yeah, I don't know how to do that transition thing, but like, let's go. So today's video, I am going to be doing a what really happens after labor video. I feel like this is just a good video to make because I feel like that's also a really scary part of giving birth, is not so much just the giving birth, but the aftermath of giving birth, because you know, all these new things just happen to your body, everything's different, everything's changed, and now you have a new little life to take care of. You just pooped him out, in the words of Sariah. So that is what we're going to get into in this video. Before I actually do start talking about all this stuff, I do want to say that if you do want to see more of my videos, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And if you have any video idea suggestions, any specific videos that you guys would love to see yourself, make sure to leave those down in the comments below. If you want to be notified whenever I upload a video, go ahead and turn on those post notifications down below. I don't know which side it's on, but somewhere down there. So I have 2 kids. Both times that I gave birth vaginally. So that is what this video will be really based around, is what to expect after a vaginal delivery. I can't really give too much, you know, say so on what goes on after a C-section, because obviously I've never experienced that. So after you push out your baby, 99.9% of the time, as long as everything's looking good, they put your baby on your chest. First, they do ask you if you want to do skin to skin, because I guess some moms don't want to do that, but they will ask you why you're pushing and things are going on, and I told them yes both times. So after I pushed out my girls, they put them on top of me. While they are on top of you, they take a towel and they wipe off all that vernix and blood and amniotic fluid, and they suck out the amniotic fluid out of their lungs, and they usually pat their backs at the same time, because, you know, they want to make sure they're getting all that stuff up out of their lungs so that they're able to breathe and get out that really, really big cry. You always want to hear that big belching cry, because that means they're getting tons of air in their lungs, and that's always the best thing to hear. That is always the thing that brought me to tears, was hearing them cry, because it was that reality of like, oh my god, my little person is here. So usually after they're done cleaning them off just a little bit, they don't like fully clean them off, they just wipe them down a little bit so they're not like extremely disgusting, and then, you know, they lay them on your chest. While, you know, you're admiring your new baby and your baby's on your chest, they are in the process of helping you get out your placenta. Now with my first, they had me push a little bit so my placenta came out, and the second time they pulled my placenta out because I was hemorrhaging. So they took the umbilical cord and they just pulled out the placenta. At the same time, they were having my daughter's dad cut the umbilical cord. So whoever is with you and whoever wants to cut the umbilical cord, or if there's nobody with you and the doctor is going to do it, somebody is going to be cutting the umbilical cord. After the placenta is removed, 9 times out of 10 they will remove your baby off of your chest, and they will bring them over to the little baby bed, and they'll weigh them and measure their heads, like the circumference of their head, just to make sure everything seems normal. They'll wipe them down even more. With my first, they gave her a bath immediately. With my second, I don't think they gave her a bath till like the next day. They check their temperature. You know, they just give like an overall little exam just to make sure the baby's healthy and everything is going, you know, as perfectly as it should. While they are doing all of that with baby, if you have any tearing, they are more than likely taking that opportunity that you are baby free to sew up anything that needs to be sewn. So if you had like a 1st, 2nd, 3rd degree tear, that is when they'll more than likely fix that up. They'll also push on your abdomen. These are called fundal massages. They're actually really uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. It is probably one of the most uncomfortable things that happens after labor. So what a fundal massage is they find the top of your uterus and they push down really, really hard. What this does is help push out excess blood that's in your uterus to help it shrink and help prevent serious blood clots. Now with my second, I did have a ton of bleeding. I did hemorrhage. So fundal massages lasted a lot longer than me. I was having to do them every hour for a week after giving birth. And with my first daughter, I only think I had to do it the 3 days that I was in the hospital. Now I had epidurals both times. They did not work, but I mean, I did have them. So what they'll do is they'll untape the tubing that's taped along your back, and they'll pull out the tubing from your spine. And then once you've started to regain a little bit of feeling in your legs, they will ask you to get up. I honestly, I'm pretty sure they do this even if you haven't had one, but I had a catheter, obviously. So they had to make sure that I was going to be able to urinate. Once I gained a little bit more feeling in my legs, they had me stand up, a nurse helped me walk to the bathroom, and they sat a little bowl under me, and I peed in the bowl. The first time I gave birth, I peed right away. Had no issues at all, and I peed, I swear, for like 7 minutes. That was the longest pee I've ever taken in my entire life. It was bloody and it was disgusting. Gross, but it's what happened. The second time I gave birth, I had bladder incompetence. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. I could not pee right after giving birth like I did the first time, so once I was like showered and in my own room, I did end up peeing. I think the reason they make you pee in a bowl, one, is to make sure that you can, and two, because they want to make sure there's like no blood in it. They want to check like things out in it just to make sure everything seems okay. So after you go pee, they will help you move back to your bed. They will change all the padding on your bed while you're peeing because it's disgusting from giving birth. There's amniotic fluid everywhere, blood everywhere, it's pee everywhere. Sometimes women poop, so there's poop everywhere. So they change out all the little padding and sheets that are under you while you're going pee, and then, you know, you get back on your bed. Now, you don't give birth, at least in my hospital, I'm not sure how it is with other hospitals, but you do not give birth in the same room that you're going to be staying in for the next day, 3 days, week, however long it is that you're staying in the hospital. The first time I gave birth, I had to stay for 3 days. The second time I gave birth, I only had to stay for 1. And that really does vary on like complications. So obviously if you did have some complications with you or your baby, obviously you guys are going to have to stay just a little bit longer. But after they move you back into the bed, usually they'll check your vitals, they'll make sure that everything's okay, that you feel as okay as you can after pushing a baby out of you, I guess. The first time I was put on antibiotics right after birth, and the second time I was put on Pitocin right after birth. The Pitocin was because I was hemorrhaging and it was to help stop my bleeding, and the antibiotics were because I tested positive for that group B strep thing when you're pregnant. That sounds really scary, but it's absolutely nothing to be scared of. It's actually very common. You can test positive for it for one pregnancy, negative for it for the other. I tested positive for it with my first, negative for it with my second. I honestly don't even know what it is, but they do a little swab on your butthole to find out. And when you're pregnant, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, with both of my kids, I was Rh negative. So right after giving birth, I did have to get a Rhogam shot both times because my kids have different blood types than me. Being Rh negative means that you have O negative blood, and for some weird reason, when you do, your kid's blood interact, like if it was to interact with yours, it can cause like these antibodies to build up in your body, in your blood cells, and your blood cells will attack your next pregnancy and any pregnancy after that if you don't get the Rhogam shot. So once I was back in my bed, I did get my Rhogam shot. I always got it in my butt cheek. One time I did get it in my arm. It is a really painful shot. It is a really big needle and it is really deep. So if you are Rh negative, that is something to expect. After baby is all cleaned up, you know, usually they let you guys bond a little bit in the room. If you're breastfeeding, they will put baby on your boob. If you're not breastfeeding, then, you know, they'll give you the little Enfamil bottles and, you know, shake them up, and they'll show you how much to feed them. You'll feed them for the very first time, and, you know, they'll basically, if you're a new parent, they'll go through all the advice and steps and etc. So after baby is fed and everything is all like calmed down and you've had time to bond with your baby a little bit, talk with family members who were, you know, there while it happened. Some nurses are going to come in and explain to you what's about to happen, and then they will prepare to move you guys to the mother baby unit. That is where you will be staying for the next day or so on. Once you are moved to the mother baby unit, they will take your baby to go off to the nursery and get examined. So again, they'll be weighed, they'll have hearing exams, like eye exams, everything just to make sure that, you know, overall everything is okay with baby, because they can't do all of those certain little tests in the room. They will also prick the baby's heel to make sure, you know, your baby's blood type and all of that. They'll basically just do every little test in the world that they can on your baby. This time is the best time to take advantage of not having baby in the room. So if you want to sleep. I can't promise that you will be able to, because nurses like to bug you. They are probably worse than the baby, if we're going to be completely honest. They will be up your butt the entire time. Though that is a good thing. You don't want nurses that are very negligent, but they will be in that room more than you would like them to be. But again, if you would like to take that time to just relax and close your eyes for a little bit, because obviously giving birth is exhausting, I would utilize that time. I personally, my second time giving birth, I had this burst of energy. I gave birth at 11 a.m. So I was wide awake. My birth was only 2 hours long. It was really painful, but it was really easy. So I wasn't too exhausted at that point. So what I wanted to do immediately was, because, you know, I felt disgusting, I took that opportunity to climb in the shower. So in the shower, you know, they have these little stools. You know, I wash my hair, my face, my body, and I put on some clean pajamas, my women's diaper, and I crawled my little self in bed and I relaxed. After your baby is done getting their exams, the nurses and doctors will come in and they'll go over basically the things that happened during your labor that you may not have been aware of. I honestly was not aware that I was hemorrhaging until the day that I left, because they did not tell me until the day that I left. Weird, but that's how it happened. They'll ask you a bunch of questions like, did you tear? Did you do this? I mean, they'll usually tell you that in the room. Obviously, if they're giving you stitches, they'll be like, you tore here, here, here. I'm gonna stitch here, here, and here. Just so you know. First time I did tear, second time I did not. So, you know, they asked me certain things. I gave them answers to my best ability. If I knew it, I told them. If I didn't, I told them I didn't know it. So they would go and ask the doctor who, you know, delivered me to be able to answer the rest of those questions. Then you can expect them to bring you birth certificate forms, things that you have to fill out in order to be discharged from the hospital. I can't remember like what the other forms are, but there are more forms than just the birth certificate form. Like there's forms about taking classes, or if you want, I don't know if all hospitals offer this, but my hospital at least offered like somebody to come to my house and assist me with things like new parenting and like things I didn't know, and just like, you know, really give me the best advice that they possibly could to make sure that I was as knowledgeable as possible on the things to do with my baby. I did not need those just because I was really confident in my parenting, and you know, I had my mom for any advice that I needed. Mom's a great mom, so I trusted her with everything in me. So after you fill out those papers, they will more than likely send in a lactation nurse if you are breastfeeding. Most people do opt to breastfeed. The first time I did, second time I chose to formula feed, but I do know they will send a lactation nurse in to make sure the baby is latching properly, make sure that you understand how to tell if they are latching properly, because if they aren't, then they aren't really eating like you think they are. They're going to show you how to tell if they're hungry, the cues they give, the different ways to breastfeed. They're going to help you with massaging when your milk ducts get clogged. They're going to talk to you a little bit about mastitis, which is an infection in your milk ducts, which is extremely painful, I will say that myself. And you know, if you're bottle feeding, if you've never fed a baby before, obviously, you know, they'll explain to you the amounts that they're supposed to be eating, and you know, how to tell if a nipple's too fast, how to angle the bottle so they're not drinking too fast, because they can choke and aspirate the breast milk or formula, because some people do opt to breastfeed but in a bottle. And as far as I can remember, after that, the next 3 days, as long as you know there's no complications, all that goes on is they come in occasionally to do a fundal massage, take your vitals, check on baby once a day. They will, or once or twice, they will take the baby to the nursery, do those checks again. And then again, 3 years ago, my daughter got a bath right afterwards. This most recent time, you know, with my youngest, they didn't bathe her till the day I left, so she got a bath that day. You know, in those next 3 days, I really just spent bonding and, you know, enjoying, embracing the fact that you have this new little baby. You know, family comes to visit. If you do opt to have family visit, friends come to visit, you know, really those next few days are just taking it all in. So then comes discharge day, your third day, depending on whether, I mean, obviously if you're watching this, it's because you're having your first. So your third day, you get to go home. They will come in and they will ask you how everything's been going. You will have to take a class or watch a video. When I had my first, it was just a video that I had to watch. With my second, I actually had to attend a class, but they basically talk about don't put a baby in a bassinet with a blanket. Always make sure they're sleeping on their backs. Absolutely nothing in the sleeping area. Things like that. They talk about purple crying, which is a very long, like, it's a thing some babies do. Not every baby does it. My kids didn't do it. I don't know why they do it, but some babies do. But they go through this stage where, like, they just cry and cry and cry, and absolutely nothing makes them stop crying. And, you know, it talks about the things you can do to get help if you're suffering from postpartum depression and things along those sorts. It's a really helpful class, and it's really, really important that you attend it. I mean, and you have to. They will not discharge you from the hospital if you don't, but it's really good to pay attention because there's a lot of useful information in those classes. They give you pamphlets and all sorts of things like that. So you'll attend that. You'll finish filling out, you know, birth certificate forms if you haven't already. The discharge papers, again, they'll check your vitals just to make sure that you're allowed to leave, or not that you're allowed to leave, but you're good to leave. They'll prescribe you, you know, your Motrin, your Tylenol, antibiotics if you need it, stool softeners, which are very important. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, you will have to poop before you leave the hospital because they have to make sure that you're able to poop. Stool softeners are your best friend. Do not forget to take them. Listen to what I'm saying. Do not forget to take your stool softeners. You know, they'll just give you all of those basic medicines and birth control. Whether you want it or not, they're going to give you birth control. Do you have to take it? Of course not. Nobody can make you take a medication that you don't want to take, but they will put it in the bag. I don't think they give you an option. They never gave me an option. They really just gave me whatever they wanted. But I did end up switching my birth control because I did not want to take what they gave me. And again, whether you are breastfeeding or formula feeding, that will also determine what kind of birth control you get, because if you are breastfeeding, they'll opt to give you the lowest amount of, I think it's estrogen or I don't know, it's one of them, estrogen or progesterone. One of them is really low or lacking completely in that birth control because you are breastfeeding. But I wasn't breastfeeding, so, you know, I didn't get the tri-low of anything because I want the strongest form of birth control humanly possible. And yeah, you will set up your 6-week appointment. You will set up your baby's, I think it's 2-day checkup, if I'm not mistaken, and then they will just, you know, check baby again. You will get all your things together and you will be able to take your beautiful new little bundle of joy home with you. And that is honestly the best feeling in the world. It feels so good to get out of that hospital room and be in your own bed and your own shower and your nice clothes. Once you get home is when reality really starts to hit, you know, because you don't have all those nurses there to help you whenever you need it. You know, that's really it. It's real life now. That baby is now at home with you and 100% your responsibility. You should most definitely expect a heavy amount of bleeding. For me, I don't understand why, but I have read that your bleeding your second time around won't be bad, but my second time I bled for 7 days and it was really only spotting. And part of that, it sounds really stupid, but again, I did fundal massages so much that I think I literally shrunk my uterus so fast that there was just nothing to bleed out anymore. I healed really fast after my second baby. My first, on the other hand, I bled really heavily and for 3 months. Yes, 3 months. That does not happen to everybody, so don't let that intimidate you, but it did happen to me. You can expect blood clots, but anything bigger or anything the size of or bigger than a ping pong ball is something to be concerned of, and you do want to look out for that, and you do want to call your OB immediately if you do see one of those, so that you can go in and get checked out, because that can mean that things are going wrong in there. And that sounds scary, but you always got to be on the safe side. And yeah, that is pretty much all that I can give. You know, everything else is pretty much to expect, you know, adjusting to a new baby and their Crazy sleep schedule. One thing I can say though is that babies, they sleep during the day in the womb and they're awake at night, because when you walk during the day, it basically rocks them to sleep. And that's why most of the time, you know, pregnant women are up all night because their babies are kicking them. And that is because that is their daytime. So they are still on uterine schedule. So they'll more than likely sleep a lot during the day, and they will be awake a lot at night. The best advice I can ever give to you is when they are sleeping, honey, sleep. That is the best thing you can do for yourself, because if you don't sleep and you try to get 100 things done while they're sleeping, you are going to drive yourself insane. Don't do it. The laundry can get done any other day. If you want to wear the same 3 clothes for the same 3 days and you want to smell funky and not shower, girl, do it. Just do it. You need that time to sleep. You really do. It is really important. Your body takes the time that you sleep to heal, and so you need that sleep to heal and recover properly, and a lot quicker. So sleep is very important. A lot of moms ask me how, you know, to lose weight really fast. I don't really know the science behind breastfeeding, but I don't think breastfeeding has anything to do with it. I didn't breastfeed this time and I'm back down to my normal size pre-pregnancy weight before 2 babies. So I honestly don't think breastfeeding actually does cause any weight loss. Breastfeeding will stop your period from coming, I can say that, and it can keep you from ovulating. So there's 2 good things. You are still really swollen obviously after pregnancy because you retain a ton of water, and it sounds really weird, but in order to rid of water retention, you have to drink a ton of water. So drink water. Lots and lots of water. Anytime you get, drink water, and I promise you it's gonna help that retention just melt away through your pee. So yeah, that is pretty much all the advice that I have to give for what happens after you deliver a baby vaginally. I'm sure that there are things that I'm missing out on, and if you do have any questions, ask me in the comments, or again, DM me on Instagram and I will always answer. I want you to feel as comfortable and prepared as you possibly can when giving birth for the first time, because it is really scary. Labor is a really scary thing to think about, and because, you know, a lot can happen, and that does sound like a really intimidating thing to say, but it is the truth. You know, you gotta accept that reality when you're pregnant, and it's always nice to go in knowing a little bit what to expect, because, you know, you don't know a lot, and then you, like, say you go in not knowing anything and then this happens and it's something that's completely normal, but you don't know that, so you're like freaking out internally and you're like, oh my god, am I gonna die? And in reality, it's just something that it happens. Like, stuff just happens. So yeah, if there is anything that I left out and you guys are so curious on and you do want to ask me, DM me, girlfriend. I am here to answer all the questions that you have. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one.